then why not a fetus?
Have you guys seen?
Well, they are alive.
Have you guys seen that South Park episode where all the people in the future, there's no more jobs in the future, so they're all immigrating back to the past?
Yeah.
And they decide, well, we have to stop this, just flood of immigration from the future, and so all the men turn gay.
Oh my gosh.
And then it starts working, but then then they realize if they make the future a better place, it'll stop the immigration. But then they're like, wait a minute, why are we doing this? Let's go back to the orgy pile.
I should clarify, you can kill someone that's not born today, although you might end up in prison for it, and it's not ethically viable to murder someone, period.
This is kind of a crazy, I've never heard this question before.
I know, I've never heard that before. That's actually fascinating. I mean,
it's in 100.
I'll be alive in 100 years. I don't know about you.
I think it's certainly wrong, but it's an interesting question. I think it would certainly be wrong to do, but it is an interesting question. I've never heard anybody ask that before.
It's a good one.
Yeah,
because people that time travel, would you go back into the past to kill Hitler to try to prevent World War II? And I got that question a lot.
Imagine if right now someone came from the future, just appeared in this room and was like, I have to stop Seamus! And what? We would do everything to protect Seamus.
Exactly. Yep. Get out of here, liberal.
And then when we catch this guy, he shows us a digital news file, and it's Seamus is just ultra Hitler or whatever.
No, it wouldn't even be that, dude. If the progressives win, it's going to be the most benign thing ever. It'd be he one time. It'll be because I say the word hello, and they're like, that's a slur now. We've decided you can't say that. Or just some insane cultural shift.
No, it would be benign, but it would be he's this 50-year-old guy who leads the free speech movement. You have to stop him.
No, it'd be something I'm doing now that's offensive that I'm not sure.
You got to watch out because Looper. I don't know if you guys saw Looper. I don't want to spoil, but I'm going to spoil Looper. So turn it down if you haven't seen it yet. It's just the act of trying to kill the kid that turns him into the villain. So don't try and kill Hitler, baby.
But that movie made no sense anyway. Gizmo79 says, Tim, you always forget Generation X. No, I don't. I don't forget Generation X. Generations basically very much skip. Millennials were the children of boomers for the most part. There's a gradient overlap, but Gen X, boomers were teenagers or in their late 20s when, I guess the problem is the generations can be long enough to overlap, but many millennials are the children of boomers. That's the point.
How do you think about generations? I know a lot of people go by years, which I always thought was... Years. I always think that's kind of a crude way of looking at it. When I think about generations, I think about major changes in society and where you were at in your stage of life when they happened, right? So, when I think of a millennial as opposed to a Gen Xer, I'm 40. I was born in 81. I kind of consider myself a really young Gen Xer for the most part because I remember what the world was like without the internet. And the people who, don't really remember that didn't live any portion of their adult life, I kind of consider millennials. But
yeah, I always thought of myself as Gen X. I was born in 79.
Millennials grew up without the internet.
Well, they grew up without it, but they didn't live any of their adult lives without it.
Right. So for millennials, we had rudimentary internet as kids, but it was 2007 is the singularity moment when the internet became ubiquitous.
Yeah, iPhones and stuff.
Exactly.
Have you seen that graph that chewing gum, revenue purchases from chewing gum in 2007 just went cratered, and the theory that they have behind it is that everybody's playing on their phones in the supermarket line now. It's just as good of a theory as I can come up with.
That's great.
All right. Justin Barber says Daryl Davis mentioned Goree Island. I visited there in 2019, and it is a special place. Is it pronounced Goree? Goree Island? 360 on YouTube to see an immersive 360 video I shot on the island. Cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, Goree.
Yeah. Okay. Phantom Kitsune Zero says when I traveled C, I made an effort to try non-chain places and foods I could never find stateside. I envy Southeast Asia. There you go. I envy Korea and Japan for having so many options. Korea is fun. It was funny. When I was in Korea, they were like Chicago pizza with black sauce on it, and I was like, we don't have that. I don't know what that is. And it was Squid Ink or something on the pizza or something.
Yeah, that's a thing.
You never
got squid pizza?
Squid pizza. I've had squid pizza, calamari on pizza.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Yeah,
I had Giordano's earlier.
You had Giordano's earlier and didn't invite me.
Why would I? Dude?
Because I'm the coolest guy in town.
That's true.
Risto says adulthood has been made to seem undesirable, whereas by prolonging childhood and adolescence with the college experience, we've warped the former progression where it was exciting to enter adulthood. It was a crazy moment for me when I turned 21. I used to play shows, right? And so I would look for open mic nights. I would look for venues that allowed all ages. And the clientele of these places was relatively small because you're dealing with basically 16 to 21-year-olds. Because younger than that, they're not really going off by themselves to these places because they can't drive. So I'd go to these venues and I'd play. And then when I turned 21, I was like, oh, I can go to this other venue. And then all of a sudden, everyone there was like in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And I'm just like, there are so many more different kinds of people now that it was kind of a crazy moment where I was like, wow. It was like tutorial mode before this. Now it's just so many different kinds of people that everyone was like me, same age, into the same things, listening to the same music. Then you go to a bar and everyone's like all different generations, and it's like, whoa, that was crazy. Yeah,
I didn't have that. That's awesome.
All right, let's grab some more super chats. Bliss Girl says, can Seamus and Tim please do your Chicago accents?
Asking for Chicago accent.
It's so hilarious, and we can
it's
use a laugh.
actually
Thank
very
you.
funny. So this is Tim and I both had to go to speech therapy to not talk like this, and the entire reason. So we're actually reverting to our natural way of speaking there.
So when you go to Chicago, if you this is a secret, if you order your pizza with Chicago accent here, hey, let me get the pepperoni with the extra cheese, yeah? Then they give you free cheese sticks.
Ooh.
Go, here's the cheese sticks there, bud.
Yeah.
Thank you there.
They go like, so you'll walk into a restaurant and there'll be a guy be like, welcome to Domino's Pizza, and you'll be like, hey, I'm just like you. No need to put on the accent. I'm like, thank the Lord, I can finally talk like a normal person.
Come over here. Come here. He pulls the old style can on the wall and a trap door opens. And
Old style. He throws you one. Time to relax, bud.
it's delish. Thank you there.
Hey, while we're here, you need your garage door repaired? Because I do garage door repairs. Like, yeah, so do I, though.
You guys want to go to Wrigley Field for we can watch the Cubbies lose?
The Cubs, the Bears, Chicago. No one in Chicago, even with a Chicago accent, says Chicago.
Chicago, no.
It's not a thing. It's the weirdest thing that's the one thing people think
Chicago.
they do say they don't say.
That they don't say. It's funny because most of the people I know, like my dad, for example, he does the opposite of a Chicago accent when he says Chicago. You hear this from a lot of older guys from the city. They'll go like Chicago. It's
Chicago.
They do not pronounce it like Chicago.
No, it's the yeah.
Yeah, like
The
Chicago.
Chicago A is
But
the
it's
A
like
sound.
yeah.
So Yapple,
Yapple.
Taxi.
Taxi. Yeah.
It's you to do the Chicago A, you got to go
Yeah.
So Yapple. It's like it starts with an E sound.
Do you guys say whoosh?
It depends,
or
but
do you
it
have to get to,
also
like,
it depends
Minnesota
on like
for that?
it's also stronger and
Whoosh.
softer in different areas too. It changes, like the north side's a little different from the south side.
I didn't know I had a Chicago accent when I lived in Chicago because everyone around you talks the same. And then it's not until you leave, people, like I'll be talking to someone and they'll go, Yapple. And then I'll be like, what? And they'll say, you said Yapple. And I'll be like, yeah, I said apple. And they'll go, no, you said Yapple.
Nothing worse. I said Yapple. What's
Apple
wrong with saying
sometimes.
Yapple?
What are you talking about, man? I said Yapple.
Go to Yapple.
You know, you
go to
get a Yapple,
Genius
you
Bar
get a
there.
taxi cab. In Chicago.
Taxi cab to the Apple Genius Bear.
All right. NYBSFP says, agree with Tim on ST, regardless of what they may have intended on ST.
Star Trek.
On Star Trek.
Oh.
What they showed was people fighting for freedom from a government that eventually nuked them. Who has the nukes?
China. No.
David C. Kronk says, Tim, you are talking about the franchise that made Stacey Abrams the president of United Earth.
Yeah.
Talk about ruining a show. You know what Picard is about? Q. Have you ever seen Star Trek?
Not really. I've seen a
So,
couple episodes.
This,
I know who Q is.
He transports them to the characters to an alternate timeline where the galaxy is run by an Earth empire of human supremacists, and then Picard's like, "We have to go back to the year to the 21st century to stop something from happening that made humans racial supremacists." And like I stopped watching it. I was just like off.
And then Q was like, back in this time, I had a messaging board where I used to post things about politics to mess with people.
Oh,
Are you serious?
Picard! Don't you understand? People at that time were racists.
Okay, Bill.
Q. I went to an antique store and found an unopened Q action figure from like 19.